I'm a survivor. I will survive. I will survive. And I'm a strong believer. We'll forever shine just to stay alive. That's the burning say nobody can hold me apart. Nobody can change my energy. Nobody can hold me sick. I will let alone negativity. Nobody can hold me apart. Nobody can change my energy. Nobody can. Nobody can. Everybody show me some strength. No weakness, show me a weapon. Strength. No weakness, show them who we are. Strength. No weakness, show me a weapon. Everybody strength. No weakness, show them who we are. Not when you're old. Your enemies, they must tremble. Your enemies, they must tremble. Yo, not when you're old. Everything I found me. Everything I found me. I'm gonna go get her. I just God. And I'm a kind of fella. Put my trust in God. Put my trust in God. That simple means say nobody can hold me apart. Nobody can drain my energy. Nobody can hold me sick. I will. You gotta be firm in this time, son. You gotta be strong in this time, son.
Right along live in prime time. Welcome to the ride. Welcome to the ride, guys. And yeah, we live. And today we're taking it a little bit different. We're in Studio B today. Welcoming you guys to another edition of Ride Along. And it's Thursday, by the way. Thursday. So, you know, normally Thursday we have what pissing you off. But since we do that yesterday, because we have to make way for this exclusive primetime interview today. And today we have, as promised, the newly elected leader of the National Democratic Congress, Mr. Dickon Mitchell, is here with us. And this is a conversation I want to engage every one of our viewers and supporters on. So this is what I want you to do right now. Go ahead right now and share the program, tag a friend, put it on a page, and let's get started with this exclusive interview. Also, I want you guys to participate in the conversation. It won't be me alone. I want you guys to participate because I know there are so many questions, and we want you guys to field your questions as well to the newly elected leader of the National Democratic Congress. Again, guys, go ahead and share the program. Let me do it on my end as well. Hey, how you doing, Rena? How you doing? Thank you so much, Rena. Glenda, thank you so much. Share it, guys. Share it. Share it and say, I share. Anna, how you doing? Glenda, Keezy. Darren Lang, how you doing, Darren Lang? Big up yourself. All right. I see Ashida. How you doing, Ashida? Big up yourself. Thank you for sharing. Yes, yes, yes. Let me share it, guys. Let me share it. 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 Share it once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. Okay. Oh, I had to share it one more time. One last time. There we go. Johnson, how you doing? Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much. So, ladies and gentlemen, I know you guys have been following the news and see what's happening. And just a few days ago, we promised you, Monday actually, we had Mr. Kem Jones and Cassandra Mitchell on the program. And we had so much questions and we wanted to find out who is this new leader that was elected. We knew nothing about him. In fact, I never spoken to the guy before, besides a few days ago when we spoke briefly on the phone. There was a lot of questions. And he presented himself now to answer all the questions and concerns that we have. So let's go without further ado. Let's bring on the newly elected leader of the National Democratic Congress, Mr. Dickon Mitchell. How are you doing, Dickon?
Hi, I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good actually. I thought I was being a little bit underdressed. I had my tie and getting ready to, to do this interview. And then I saw you. I was like, okay, so I gotta take off the tie because hey, it's a relaxed vibe, it's a conversation.
It's a ride along. It's a ride along. It's not a courthouse.
Definitely, Monica. Thanks so much for taking the time to chatting with us here. Before we do programs like this, I usually do a lot of, investigation. I go and I check and I call. I check your Facebook pages. In fact, I even call your mother, by the way.
I found that out today, and I was about to say, well, maybe I should tell you if I call my mother, I'm not appearing. So I hope you didn't do anything that you shouldn't have done.
No, no, no. Now, we check you out. We check you out, and because I wanted to know, I'm inquisitive, and that's what we do. And
Yeah.
and I checked and I discovered a lot of stuff about you. By the way, I went through all your Facebook, your first post, your second post, and I learned a lot. And one of the things that I saw, and I had to ask you, and we're going to start on that note. I want you to explain this. How is it that you want to dress like that as for carnival and expect to become the prime minister of a country? I mean, tell us about Dickon. Tell us about
Right,
Dickon.
because well, that's the point. If you want to become the prime minister of a country, you have to understand the culture of the country. And
That's right.
anybody who understands Grenada knows what carnival is like, and what carnival is about. And I will tell you this, there was a period in Grenada's carnival when men didn't play quote unquote pretty mass. When
Yeah,
it
I know.
was and there's still that deficit of men playing pretty mass.
Yeah,
And I think when I came back from university, one of the things I told guys, I don't understand why would you have lovely women in lovely costumes, music, an entire day of fun, and you would stand on the side and watch all of that pass you by.
gotta be a part of
Um,
the.
so so I've been a mass player. I'm a jab man. If you're really checking me out, you could check out Slum. You must know who Slum is,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and Slum will tell you that from inception, people like myself, I don't know if I could disclose some of the other names, but other names that you may not necessarily expect,
Uh,
would have helped do things like build the truck, pay for the truck, get the Tivoli drummers down on the truck. And we started what is called the real jab jab.
yeah.
Guys like Jackson in the muffler shop in Tempe, Slum, and a few others. So yeah, if you believe in the island and you believe in the culture, you take part in what's happening. And
Yeah.
Carnival is one of that.
I
So
mean, it was
I'm
a
a
joke.
master man.
I didn't expect everyone to take me serious. I'm asking you why you playing carnival. It was a
Yeah,
joke. Okay, it
yeah,
was a. So
yeah.
tell us
But it's
a little.
always why we play Carnival.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Tell us a little
Yeah.
bit about Dickon Mitchell. We also found that you're from St. David. Tell us about your all your bringing. Going to school and your PBC. Tell us about your all your bringing.
Right. So St. David's, PTS parents, born and bred. So I spent the first 11 years attending schooling in St. David's, pre-primary school there. Then I went to St. David's Roman Catholic School. That's in Bellevue. And so I walked to school in the mornings, walk back home for lunch, and then walk back for the afternoon sessions. The Bellevue pasture is a place I spent a lot of time playing all kinds of sports, football, cricket, anything you can think of, particularly cricket. When I passed common entrance, I went to presentation college. A couple of years into presentation college, I actually moved to library, and spent a fair amount of time in library. So I lived in library while I was at TAMCC when I finished presentation college. I taught for 2 years at presentation college after finishing TAMCC, and I was still living in library. So I actually lived in library until I went off to university. So library, St. Paul's, these Hopevale, these areas are also quite familiar and fond to me. And then I went off to Cable, Barbados, completed my law degree there. And after I finished my law degree, I went to Wooding, Trinidad, spent 2 years in Trinidad. And so you'd understand why I like carnival, and mass and music. And then came back to Grenada in 2002, started practicing right away, joined the firm of Grant, Joseph and Co. And then the rest is history in terms of professional career. But in terms of growing up, though, I mean, St. David's, at the time, um, certainly in my primary school days, lacked development in a lot of areas. Places, and I've talked about these areas before, like Bellevue, Apwetu, Baylile. These are areas that didn't have roads, that didn't have running water, that didn't have electricity. In fact, after the new National Party won elections in 1984. I'm sure you're familiar with the rural electrification program and so on. It is only in when these kinds of programs started that some of those villages started to see any kind of development at all. But notwithstanding the lack of material things, family, friends, that bond, that kinship, that working together, the hard work, um, those kinds of values were instilled in you at an early age. Because I mean, if you wanted to go to school, you had to get up, leave your house, and go take water from the standpipe, bring it back home, not just for yourself, but for everyone in the house. You had to your parents had to cook, clean, and you had to carry that water from the standpipe throughout. So I grew up certainly for the first initial stage of my life with no running water, with no electricity in the house, with no inside bathroom or toilet. So those issues which some of our religions still face today still exist. So I certainly grew up in a rural area where agriculture and farming was a predominant economic activity. You still had large estates when I was young. So places like Bela, as I said, Apwetu, you would literally go to the farms and assist with picking up nutmegs, picking up cocoa, going to the nutmeg station and selling nutmegs. I could tell you, in fact, up to when I was in PBC, and there were things like intercall, and I didn't want to wear PBC uniform anymore. And in those days, the rayon shirts were the thing in fashion. I would go up to the mountains, pick the nutmegs up, steal the nutmeg card, and sell the nutmeg so that you can buy a shirt because you wanted to be in fashion. So that's just some of the insight into my early upbringing.
Right. What about your inclination into politics? Were you ever interested in politics during this time?
I would say I was interested in politics, in the history of Grenada's politics, in history in general. I'm a history student. I love history in school. I loved history in secondary schools. I've had some very fascinating and interesting history teachers. For example, Ali Gill. I'm sure you're familiar with him. Ali Gill taught me history in Presentation College, and he ignited a spark, not just for Caribbean history, but for African history as well. Because unfortunately, the history of the Caribbean is written in such a manner that it deliberately starts with slavery. It deliberately starts with the European colonization and conquest of the West, and you're not taught about African history at all. And so, learning about African history was instrumental for me during my secondary education because it pivoted your thinking. It made you have confidence in yourself. It made you have confidence in Black people. It made you have confidence in the continent of Africa. And that was pivotal in shaping my desire to want to live in a society that cared about its people and that wanted to take its people forward. So when you come to our modern day heroes from the trade union movement, Uriah Buzz Butler, T. Marisho, Eric Gary, Morris Bishop, the entire PRG period. It was fascinating to learn and read about. And obviously, in 1983, when the Americans invaded, I was a kid then, but I have very vivid memories of the airplanes bombing out some of the areas in Grenada, very vivid memories of the occupation by the Americans and the eventual peacekeeping force by the Caribbean. So those kinds of events would have shaped me tremendously because as a kid it was exciting, but as you grew older and you read about it, you understood the tremendous sacrifices that Grenadians have made to give us the society that we have today. So I'm saying purely from a historical point of view, I was always interested in it. When I was at A levels, for example, I had a lecturer, and I call his name Baba Tunde, Grenadian Nigerian, and I always wanted to do economics, but I couldn't do it at the time because of the choices you had. I was doing literature, I was doing history, sociology, and accounting, and in those days you only are permitted to do 4 A levels. So when I finished my A levels and I was teaching in PBC, I actually went back to Baba Tunde and asked him if he could lecture me in economics, and I actually did A level economics in 1 year, although traditionally it was a 2 year program. And the reason I did that is because it was fascinating to me to learn about how you make decisions to allocate scarce resources. And so economic theory fascinated me, whether it's free market, Marxism, Leninism, etc. And then you started realizing that, in essence, countries that develop and grow, uh, their leaders spend time thinking about these issues. They ask themselves, how are we going to improve the society with the scarce resources we have? How best can we use it? So from an academic point of view, I was fascinated with it. And then in real life, I had friends who were already in national college and who already had their own businesses or were helping their parents with their own businesses. And I was fascinated by that. I was fascinated by the fact that they could at an early age get into business and improve their own lives. I'll shout out one of those friends, Aaron Thomas from Cafe in Croshu. Um, you know, a brother to me. We went to PBC together, but from an early age, even when we were in PBC, his parents trafficked um, goods from Trinidad, and he would help them. And sometimes we would go to Grenville on a Friday to help load the goods off and so on. But it fascinated me because I recognized how hard people in Grenada work to earn a living, and why it was important for the next generation of persons to step up. And Aaron, my friend, for example, did that. So definitely, I always had an interest in those kinds of subject areas, but to say specifically have a desire to serve publicly or to get involved in politics in the manner I've gotten involved in, I would say at an early stage, no, I didn't have that specific intent. I think it's in more recent times that intent uh, was formulated.
What or who leader in the region? Because people think of Dickon Mitchell and some of the um, recent, like yesterday when you speak and when people look at you, they always mention Mia Motley, and that leader always pop up when Deacon Mitchell come up. Or Barack Obama comes up when they speak of you as well. Are there any one of these leaders out there that you idolize or you look at their leadership quality and style and emulate?
Right. Well, I would say Mia, no doubt, is a standout. I met Mia Motley many moons ago when I was a student at Cable. She's always been a dynamic, brilliant orator. She got involved in politics at a very young age, and so from an inspiration point of view, the fact that she was prepared to offer herself for public service, and I mean, she comes from a family, if you know history, that has always been involved in public service, and the family's always been a prominent family in Barbados. In fact, I went to school with one of her brothers, Warren, and so Mia, without question, is a standout, and in a sense, is our modern day standout. I think of a Caribbean leader who speaks plainly, clearly, and honestly to power. We are small islands in the Caribbean, and to our people, and she engages constantly with them. So certainly, that's one feature that I think everyone should emulate. Historically, though, we've really had, in my view, great leaders throughout the history of the Caribbean, particularly, or if you look at the history of the Caribbean, or early founders who took us from colonialism and into the modern Caribbean civilization. So we started our own Eric Gary, we started our own Morris Bishop. When you look at Trinidad, Eric Williams, I mean, a powerhouse of an intellect, and one who clearly spent a lot of time teaching us our history, particularly economic history. When you look at Jamaica and these islands, there are countless political leaders that you can talk about, that we can emulate, and that has always inspired me. The fact that our foreparents were courageous enough, were brave enough to say that we should chart our own destiny, and were prepared to make the sacrifices. Some of the leaders of the labor movements historically, I've already mentioned some of them. In my view, we owe a deep debt of gratitude to them for the sacrifices that they've made to give us a free Caribbean civilization, and so we really should build upon that.
Yeah, yeah. Again, guys, we're having a conversation, getting to know Deacon Mitchell, getting to know the man a bit, his political aspiration and inspiration. And I want to move a little bit into leadership, right? And looking at where Grenada is at this point in time. What are some of the what are the most important factors or important issues that's affecting Grenada right now from your perspective?
Right, from a leadership perspective,
Yes.
well, to me, there is no leadership. In blunt terms, we have come through, perhaps in our modern history, and we are still going through one of the most difficult periods experienced by Grenadians. And so, from a starting point, I think you, as a leader, you have to recognize that and have empathy with all of the citizens of Grenada. In January of 2020, no one could predict in March or April of 2020 that we'll be going through what we've gone through. I think no one could predict in May or June of 2021 that come the end of September, 200 Grenadians would have
200
died
people.
from COVID-19. And so we first have to understand the deep trauma that our citizens have gone through, particularly those who've lost loved ones to COVID-19. We have to understand the deep economic pain that persons are in as a result of the fallout from COVID-19. And to demonstrate that empathy, you have to be with your people. You have to be speaking and conversing with them and share the pain and the experiences that they are going through. And starting that from that point, that ought to motivate you to want to ensure that we can chart the way forward to take us out and lead us out of the situation by doing everything that you can. And so the starting point for me would be to be engaging with the people, to be communicating with them, to be talking with them. We appreciate, for instance, that with COVID-19, you may not have been able to do as much of the physical interaction that you may have wanted to, but we had all of the tools necessary to do so, the Zooms, the Microsoft Teams, etc. And I don't just mean leader from the point of view of one particular person. We have 15 elected members of parliament. Where are the parliamentarians? Where are the parliamentarians? Have they gone back to their constituencies? Are they speaking to their persons? Are they feeling their pain? Are they experiencing their pain? Are we talking together to find common solutions to the very complex and real issues that people are facing? No. I mean, essentially, if you look at press coverage, the press coverage from the in my view, from the government focuses mostly on reading out statistics associated with COVID-19 and telling you what the changes in the regulations are. But there is no real focus or emphasis to me on the people, on human beings. And I give examples of, for instance, if you're going to make regulations that are going to affect our small self-employed business persons, like barbers, you know, like nail technicians. Have you spoken with them? Have you sought an audience with them? Have you tried to organize them in a manner that you can hear from them what their solutions may be to the challenges that they obviously are going through? And that to me is the most glaring absence of leadership that we have in the country. And so what it leads to is a sense of despair, despondency, and lack of hope. And to me, if people have elected you to represent them and have elected you to lead them, at a minimum, what you should be doing is giving them hope, saying that there will be a brighter day, encouraging all of us to stick together, encouraging unity, knowing that we are resilient people and we've been through tough times before, and that there will be a brighter day at the end of the day. But I'm not hearing that kind of conversation, and I'm certainly from my interaction with the citizens, I don't think that they're hearing or feeling that either.
Yeah. Based on all the research that has been done, what is the top issue affecting the normal man on the ground in Grenada right now?
Well, I would say this. I think the top issue, in a nutshell, is that our lives have been completely disrupted, obviously by COVID-19. So the question for me would be, how do we, and it may continue to be disrupted. So I think that the question should really be, how do we collectively as a people minimize the negative impacts of COVID-19? And that impacts a number of things: economically, socially, spiritually. Um, I'll give a good example. Our children have essentially had online schooling or no schooling to some extent, anyway, between 12 to 15 months. Have we taken some time to seriously consider the impact of them, the impact of that on them, socially, their ability to make friends, their ability to interact with one another, their ability to talk and solve problems? Because we've essentially gone from a situation where we probably were already complaining that our young people are spending too much time on tablets and electronic devices, to a situation where that is all they do. And are we paying attention to that? And if we are not, should we not be paying attention to that? And should we not be talking about how do we help them to get back as quickly as possible into a situation where they get to see their friends, they get to interact with their friends, they get to play football, they get to run, they get to play tennis, they get to go to the beach, they get to go to the rivers and catch crayfish. They get an opportunity to go to the backyard and do some gardening and so on. And I say this because you don't want, if we may already have that situation, a lost generation of Grenadians who essentially don't even know how to socialize or make friends because they've spent 2 or 3 years of their entire lives essentially learning purely academics from a computer, not interacting with one another, not learning to play, not dealing with how do you resolve conflicts and so on, because you that's part of the norm of growing up. So I'm saying, given how dramatically COVID-19 and the regulations affecting our behavior as a result of that has changed our lives, to me there should be a collective effort to converse, to discuss, to consult, and talk about those issues and see how we come up with solutions that we can own and implement. And I say this because one of the things I'm strongly advocating for is a return to schooling for school children as quickly as possible in the safest manner, because I recognize what online learning has done, and we have to remember there are significant numbers of students who do not have access to online learning, and so they've just been left out of the cold, right? And we need to address what happens to them. Is there going to be any remedial classes? Are we going to make special or extra effort and put resources into helping some of those kids who simply don't have access to that? So those are real issues facing all of us as a nation, because we all have kids, grandkids, friends who have kids, and we need to recognize those challenges. And there are other things that spill off from that. You know, in Grenada, you can tell when school is open or when school is closed. When school is open, the economy tends to bubble a bit more. There's a lot more traffic. There's a lot more people on the road. When school is closed, um, you can tell that school is closed because the economic activity is just less. And again, so if we're interested in trying to boost economic activity, there's a direct link between education, schools open, children going to school, parents having to pick them up, meals having to be prepared, food having to be bought, etc. So if we understand how an economy works, and if we understand the critical role that education and young people play in our economy, those are some of the things that we'll be focusing on.
Yeah, on the topic of education, there have been a lot of talk about the new economy and what would spearhead, what would build and sustain a new economy. One
Yes.
of the things that's in conversation that is not really spoken out on very much is entrepreneurship,
Yes.
and changing the mindset of people to think that you don't just go to school and find a job, but instead go to school, get an education, and create employment, create entrepreneur, create businesses. What your the NDC new administration, what focus would you have on entrepreneurship?
Major focus, because the single biggest resource of Grenada is its young people. And if you train our people to think creatively, to find solutions to problems, and to scale that up, then you will be creating a society of entrepreneurs. You'll be creating a society of business people. And it is not just a society of entrepreneurs limited to Grenada. The beauty about the world we live in is that if there are challenges that people face, whether it's in Grenada, whether it's in St. Vincent, whether it's in the OECS, whether it's in CARICOM, whether it's in the US, and you're able to find solutions to those challenges, you can scale that up and become successful regardless of the fact that you live in Grenada. And that is what a digital economy, that is what a creative economy is about. And we can take an example, that we ignore. Let's just take music. Let's just take music. If you are able to produce music, or if you're a great artist, there's nothing saying that you have to sing soca because you're from Grenada. There's nothing saying that you have to sing reggae because you're from Jamaica. You can literally do anything you want. And with the world as flat as it is when it comes to technology, you can post that online. You can have followers. You can have likes. You can become very wealthy living in Grenada. But we have to ensure that our young people are not just consumers of technology, that they're not consumers of technology produced by others. We need to ensure that our young people can use the technology to unleash their creative power, right, and become successful and support them. And so it's important for us to ensure that our young people understand, learn about the technology at an early age, and recognize that it is not just for entertainment, as in consuming entertainment, but it gives them an opportunity to create entertainment, to create content, to take part in the digital economy, and to become successful. And so I've advocated for things like, for example, in our view, making things like coding mandatory from a very early age in our schooling system. And if we don't have the current capacity to do so, that we import and pay for the capacity for as long as we need to do so to get us to the point where we have our own domestic capacity. And I think anyone who understands coding and the great demand there is for things like coding, you would understand that with a population of only 110,000, that we could transform the lives of our young people in a relatively short space of time. So there are real examples of what can be done if we set the goals, if we set our policies, and if we put the resources into it.
Yeah, guys, we're having a conversation here with Dickon Mitchell, the newly elected leader of the NDC. I'm very passionate about entrepreneurship, Dickon. I speak out about entrepreneurship whenever I get a chance. In fact, recently we had an entrepreneurship program where we awarded financial resources and support for three businesses to grow their business, to advance the business. What are the subjects that you are passionate about? I haven't seen a lot of the social media postings or any other the engagements of such.
Yeah.
What are your passion? What are the things that you are most passionate about?
Right. Well, I would say this entrepreneurship is certainly one of them. Uh, Education and skills training of young people is certainly one of them. Food security and agriculture is certainly one of them. And I am very, very passionate about youth empowerment. I'm very passionate about ensuring that our youth are confident and believing in themselves. And so for me, it is very, very important that our education system and our society pulls our youth up, encourages them, reinforces in them the sense that you can be anything you want to be, not just in Grenada, but on the world stage. And we have shining examples of that when we look at our youth. And when we take a Kirani James, for example, it is not just his skill in running. When you listen to Kirani James, the way he conducts himself, his sportsmanship, his humility, I don't know of any Grenadian who is not proud 100% of Kirani James. I'll give a simple example of what I'm talking about. When the Bahamian won the 400 meters at the Olympics, and obviously he was exhausted, and the Bahamian flag was on the ground. What did Kirani James do? He went and he picked the flag up. That's the kind of Grenadians we produce, and we need to produce more of, right? It is not just the fact that he's a great athlete, but also the fact that he's a gentleman, his humility, his sense of doing what is right at all times. And so for me, it is absolutely important that if we're going to build a society that is peaceful and stable, that we don't just need to educate our young people, but we need to also ensure that we instill the right values in them. Because at the end of the day, we want a society that actually is cohesive, that is peaceful, and that's stable. And I think we can all accept that one of the great features of Grenada still is that it's a relatively peaceful society. It's a relatively crime-free society, and we need to encourage and we need to maintain that. So you would hear me talking a lot about education because education is what has changed my life, and I don't just mean academic education, but I mean education that is based on values as well, the values of hard work, the values of honesty, the values of helping other persons, the values of humility, the values of saying, okay, you can choose to go dark or you can choose to go light. You should constantly be working to choose to go light, right? So those are some of the things I'm passionate about. I would tell you this as well. I'm a very passionate sports fan. I may not have any athletic ability, but I believe firmly in the power of sports. And I would say this particularly a young man. I sometimes say sports is controlled war. Because as young men, you have a lot of energy and a lot of aggression, and sometimes you need to find a creative way in which to channel it. And I think for too often, we've just simply taken sports as fun and games in Grenada. And so, if we again take a systematic approach to how we use sport, both economically, socially, again, I think that's a significant area that we've just completely missed out, even when we come to issues like sports tourism. And there are a lot of Grenadians in the diaspora in particular who work in administrative positions within the sport industry. And I mean, I could just give you examples of things that surprises me that we have not sought to take advantage of. There's a Caribbean Premier League. Grenada is not part of that. We have a huge stadium that was built at enormous cost that is sitting there in almost in a state of disrepair. We have no lights, so we can't play cricket at the stadium at night. You have a Caribbean Premier League. Grenada is not part of it. Again, if we are thinking strategically, if we are thinking, okay, how can we use this asset that is sitting there that costs millions of dollars and it is rusting away? I mean, those are the things we should be talking about. Put us in a position where we can, in fact, have the Caribbean Premier League matches played in Grenada. Put us in a position where we can have more of the English teams come to Grenada and train in Grenada, more of the Australian teams, the New Zealand teams. When you build a stadium, it can't be a single-use stadium. It has to be a multi-purpose stadium so that you can use it for multiple purposes. Let's think about swimming. As I said, the same way coding should be mandatory, swimming should be mandatory in my view for all Grenadian students. We live in an island, right? And you can't swim. Well, if you can't swim, you basically cut yourself out from the marine industry, an industry that, again, in my view, would be one of the key pillars to moving Grenada's economy forward. So there are a lot of things, in my view, that we can do that are almost low-hanging fruits to improve the well-being of all of our citizens in Grenada, and that gives us a diversified economy, so that we are less vulnerable to outside shocks and the impacts of some of the negative things economically that would affect us.
Someone just messaged me about funding, but I want to kind of move a little bit into the connective and the connection that we have in the diaspora. Now, Grenada has, New York and in the diaspora has always been deemed as the 16th constituency we are seen as a part of. But yet still, we feel disconnected, right? And I think there's so much more work that we could do if the diaspora is on board. How would the the NDC administration engage the diaspora to get all hands on deck in rebuilding Grenada?
Yeah, I will say this. I think there has unfortunately been a culture in Grenada where we say we want the help from the diaspora, and when we get it, we somehow object to it or reject it in terms of actuality when it gets here. So I think we have to recognize in Grenada, and part of that requires education. Part of that requires us learning about each other. That Grenadians, wherever they are Grenadians. And when persons are successful, you want to emulate the success. So when they come back to Grenada to help, you're happy for that help, and you should be learning from that help. So I think in practical terms, there already exists a diaspora desk. But I think what we need to be able to do is look at what are the things we desperately need help with in Grenada, find those members of the diaspora community who have the expertise and the resources. And then when those persons come to Grenada, whether it's resources, whether it's expertise, that not just the government, but the important sectors that need the expertise understand that it is far better to have a Grenadian who's done it and who's been successful in the diaspora to come home and help us than you go and pay tens and thousands of dollars from some expert elsewhere who doesn't understand our culture, who's probably just interested in getting whatever consultancy fees he's going to be paid and going back. Because at the end of the day, the persons in the diaspora are always sending some money back home. They're always sending barrels home. They're always helping someone. So I think it's important for us to, in a very structured way, enhance the capacity of the diaspora desk, ensure that 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 the diaspora actually is giving the respect that is due, because what we want to do is emulate success. And if you have Grenadians who are successful in a far more competitive environment, in a far more dynamic environment, in a far larger environment, then there's no reason why we should not be accepting help and accepting the support of our diaspora members. If we are prepared to accept your money and accept your barrels, then we certainly should be prepared to accept your advice and to accept your expertise. So I think in a very strategic way, we need to ensure that the diaspora desk is not just a talk shop, but that we have in fact the database and the commitment and the willingness of the diaspora to help, and that we genuinely receive that help. So we can take an example. Let's say if we take the health industry, and if we do have a shortages of doctors or so in a particular field or a particular area, and we can take any Grenada suffers from chronic lifestyle diseases, high blood pressure. Grenadians suffer from that, diabetes. If we have Grenadian doctors who have expertise in those fields, um, what we can certainly do, for example, is on a systematic, almost annual basis, ensure that these experts can come to Grenada, help continuously train our own Grenadian doctors, go out into our communities or community centers or health clinics to speak to our citizens about the possible changes that you need to ensure that you can manage your diabetes, manage your high blood pressure, and so on. And do so in an open manner, not from a manner of suggesting that I know more from you because I'm from New York or that sort of thing, but to understand that all we're doing is really trying to exchange information to find the best practices. It may very well be that there may be Grenadians who may be able to suggest things to the New York diaspora that they can take back to their communities. So I think what we have to encourage is a culture of genuine sharing, because I've definitely observed there are times when there seems to be a resistance locally to accepting the help from outside. But we have to understand that sometimes how we do it is important as well, and you have to be sensitive to those factors. But I think if we are open, if we are clear about what we're trying to achieve, and if we consult with each other, then I see no reason why we can't benefit from the great expertise, the great resources of Grenadians who live in New York, Toronto, London, and far-flung parts of the world.
Yeah. Dickon, one thing that folks in the diaspora always tell me, they love Grenada, they want to retire and go back home someday, but they're very concerned about the CBI program and other nationals, other people that own the Grenadian passport. What will or how will the NDC administration manage the CBI program? Talk about transparency. How transparent would it be? Would we be able to know who those people are that hold Grenada passport? Could you talk to us about the accountability and transparency of the CBI program if elected into office?
Sure, absolutely. The CBI program, in my view, should be run by professionals, and if run by professionals, and if the politicians take their hands off the program, then there's no reason why the program should not be transparent. In my view, there's no reason why you should not publish on an annual basis the list of persons who've been granted citizenship. There should be no reason why you should not publish the amount of funds that the government has collected from the program, and more crucially, as I said yesterday, you should in fact be clearly demonstrating to Grenada how you are using those funds to transform Grenada, because that is the purpose of the transformation fund. Um, no one knows how the money is being spent. So for me, the in order for someone to get a Grenadian passport, they go through an extensive vetting process, vetted by international firms whose literally business is due diligence. So I'm pretty confident that Grenada's vetting process is one of the best in the region. Therefore, if someone gets a passport, they would have gone through a pretty rigorous and thorough background check. And therefore, there's no, in my view, there should be no objection to publishing the list of those persons. And if you wish to categorize it by country or geographic region, there should be no reason why that should not be published. Because who are citizens of Grenada? The public is you. If you want to know whether I'm a citizen of Grenada or whether I'm a passport holder, that's part of our public records, and one should be able to know that. And as I said, crucially, how the funds are used and the amount of funds that is collected should be published. I know that on the Ministry of Finance website, you can find, in a sense, aggregate sums, so how much funds were collected from CBI on an annual basis. But what we don't really know is how the funds are being used, and specifically if it was a transformation fund, and if it's meant to transform Grenada, then clearly there's no transformation taking place.
Yeah.
So under an NDC administration, we certainly will ensure, because it's quite simple. If you collected $100 million in CBI money, let's say in 2021, you should be able to clearly show in Parliament, in the media, how you intend to spend this $100 million for the betterment of Grenada, for the transformation of Grenada. Which polyclinic did you build? Which secondary school did you build? Which road did you reconstruct? Which health center did you build? Where are the 2,000 students who you gave scholarships to become digital experts with the transformation money? That should be clear, because that is what transformation is about. You should have been able to say to the Grenadian public, we've identified 2 or 3 areas that we believe will transform Grenada. Let's take a random example: energy, right? And so we want to make Grenada carbon neutral by X date. And so we will invest in solar panels. We will invest in research for wind or geothermal, right? So that the public understands that. And so when you are successful in doing that, if you are building solar, if you are building solar towers, the public can see, and you can say this is CBI money at work, so that the public then understands that there's a direct link between the transformation and the development of Grenada and the CBI program. But as it stands now, there is no such direct link, because
Yeah.
there is no transformation.
Just a few years ago, governments in the Caribbean was accused of using CBI money to fund their political campaign.
Right.
Right.
Well, and that is the sort of thing it would lead to, because you see, if it's not transparent, and if you don't know where the funds are being spent, then it leads to speculation. And obviously, it's quite easy for people to speculate and say that's what's happening.
Yeah. All right, guys. At this point, I want to open up the phone lines to you guys. I want to open up the phone lines because I know there are a lot of questions. A lot of people just want to say hi to Dickon, congratulate him on his victory. So you could call right now. The number you could call directly is 718-701-5720. Number on the screen, 718-701-5720. You could call directly. Directly preferably. If you have to call on the WhatsApp, do so. But you could call direct, 718-701-5720. Dickon, while we wait for the calls
Sure.
to start coming in, I know there have been a sense of, let me see if I could pull that video up. There was a question that was asked. In fact, the Prime Minister had a message for you, and I want you to respond. I want you to respond to it. This is the question that the Prime Minister had for you. If I could pull it up. And there we go.
So since he has not denied, I'm still not saying he has joined. But I suggest that he speaks to that leader about his position on vaccination, and that he makes a statement to that effect.
All right. So essentially, Dr. Kit Mitchell was asking that you make a statement on in regards to vaccination. So we're moving into that conversation now,
Yes.
conversation about vaccination. But hold on, don't.
No, no.
The person hang
I'm
up.
not going.
The person hung up. I had someone on the line, but they hung up. Yes. So the question of vaccination and mandatory vaccination specifically, because of the client that you represent and the
Yeah.
position that the client took in terms of vaccination. What is your position on mandatory vaccination?
Well, I answered that yesterday and I'm going to repeat it again. As I said to you, my view is no person should be forced to take medication against his conscience. I will go for that. I am vaccinated. I said yesterday as well, I'm an employer and I do not know the vaccination status of my staff, right? But I would also say this. I am the leader of the National Democratic Congress. The National Democratic Congress is not in parliament. The National Democratic Congress is not in government. And so I think the person who's asking the question should be the one telling the nation what is the government's policy on vaccination. That I am yet uh, that has not been articulated clearly to the nation. What has been articulated is his personal view. And again, and that's the point I want to make. COVID 19 and the fallout from COVID 19 is not a joke. It's not for gamesmanship. It has had a serious impact on people's lives. And we should be treating it that way. We should be treating it in a serious manner. And that's what I talked about empathy. Because clearly, this is not a situation where one shoes will fit all. This is a situation where we need serious and deliberate discussion as to how we solve the many challenges posed by COVID 19. And so, from where I sit, I'm not going to get involved in a discussion that is not helpful, or in a discussion that is not going to take Grenada and Grenadians to a better place, right? And the reality is, we have to understand, as I made the point, over 200 plus Grenadians died in 6 weeks. There's something called long haul COVID. There are a lot of Grenadians who will suffer from that. We have a population that has serious lifestyle issues. As I said, the diabetes, the high blood pressure, right? We have a serious issue with obesity in Grenada. Those are the issues we should be talking about and asking ourselves, how do we deal with that? How do we create a better health system? How do we change not the perception, but the reality that Grenadians view the hospital as a morgue? Those are the issues we should be talking about. And I'm saying if you're in government, those are the issues that you should be treating with and trying to solve and trying to improve. Right. So from where I sit, right, there's no question uh, that there are significant numbers of Grenadians who are not prepared to be vaccinated. And the question we should be treating with as a nation is how do we address that and any potential fallout that may come from that. Right. So it's not just about COVID 19. We have to remember there are other diseases, there are other illnesses that are likely to come about. We have to remember the historic role vaccines played in treating with diseases like polio and so on. So these are serious issues. And, Junior, we have to move past this idea of treating everything as entertainment. The death of someone is not entertainment. All of the families who lost loved ones from the COVID 19, that's not entertainment. All of the persons who are employed as a result of the closure of businesses or the failure of businesses as a result of COVID 19, that's not entertainment, right? So if you're going to address governing our people as if it's a joke or if it's funny, it's just sad. And so from where we sit, as I said, those are serious issues that require serious dialogue. And that's really what the new NDC wants to focus on. That's really what we want to talk about. How do we find solutions with our fellow citizens to solving the many challenges that we face?
All right, guys. Your opportunity here to chat with Dickon. Let's open up the phone lines right now. We got someone on the line. Caller, you live.
All right, Junior, good day. This is me, Dennis Charles.
Yes.
All right, good. I wanted to ask the new leader, and first of all, I should say congratulations, sir. That's
Thank you,
a
Dennis.
accomplishment, and we are very proud of you. What do you plan to do with the decriminalization of medical use, personal use marijuana, and would you use it as another income producing? You know, cocoa is not that much. We don't have banana as we used to have long time, and we have a little issue with the Nutmeg Association. So another stream of income. Do you look at that? And decriminalizing the use of medical marijuana on a personal basis. Thank you.
Yes, I think the national, even before I joined the National Democratic Congress, the National Democratic Congress had publicly advocated for the decriminalization of marijuana, particularly medical marijuana. You know, Junior, and that's what I mean when I say we need to seriously think about how we transition Grenada over the next several years. And there are countless examples. In fact, I spent an hour and a half this morning speaking with someone about the medical marijuana industry in British Columbia and Canada. And their persons already, regrettably, I think we have wasted 3 years since 2018. The CARICOM heads of government report on the decriminalization of marijuana was submitted to CARICOM heads. We in 2021, and I've heard little, if any, from our government about this process. The hemp industry, the hemp industry is a serious industry that has the potential to seriously transform and give Grenadians, as well as the government, significant revenue on a sustained basis. But what have we done in 3 years to address that? Nothing. There are acres and acres of land sitting in places like St. Mark, in St. Patrick, lying idle, right? And if we were serious and wanted to use the opportunities that are there to really help our people improve their lives, those are some of the things we need to actively pursue. As an attorney, I've had several clients from outside of Grenada ask questions as to whether or not there will be any policy changes in Grenada that would facilitate the development of the hemp industry or the CBD industry. And the simple answer is no, because there's been no indication that is going to happen. And so that's one of the areas that we certainly intend to address very, very quickly once the National Democratic Congress forms the next election. But we don't have to wait until that time. We can find who the landowners are. We can find who the farmers are. We can get those investors, and it doesn't have to be foreign investors. It could be Grenadians in the diaspora who have the resources, who are prepared to say, we are prepared to come back and look at how do we establish as an industry. And therefore, whether or not the government wants to get involved, we can then lobby the government. We can then say to persons within Grenada, these are the advantages, these are the pros, these are the cons. Have a debate, have a discussion. And once the public is satisfied that that's an industry that is viable, that is sustainable, and will create income, create employment, then we go for it, right? Because at the end of the day, remember, the people in parliament make laws, but we put them there, right?
Yeah.
And so we can lobby them. We can say change the law. It doesn't make sense. Can you justify shooting someone over a spliff? There's a young man who's a national swimmer who hails from the prime minister's constituency. He was shot by police over a spliff.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The gentleman has essentially been, he has his hand, but he can't use it. Right? So I'm saying those are things we have to ask ourselves. Is that the kind of society we want? And so for me, those are some of the areas that if we discuss and talk about, we can find consensus, we can find agreement, or at least a majority view as to how we can change the economy of Grenada, how we can help sustain our people, and how we can help take many of them who are in poverty out of poverty.
Yeah. Let's jump to the next call on the line. Caller, live, where are you calling us from?
Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Evening, sorry. I'm calling from Grenada.
Yes.
I would like to know, as leader of the NDC, I would like Dickon to explain to me the political ideology and position of the NDC. That's what I want to hear from you. Thank you.
All right, well, that's a very broad question, but I think the simple answer is the National Democratic Congress, as its names imply, is a party that believes in democracy. We exist in a parliamentary democracy system. We fully support that. I'm sure you would see oftentimes reference to social democracy. And the reason there's a reference to social democracy is because we firmly believe in putting people first. You can't have a society where materialism is the order of the day, and you can't have a society where you don't take care of your weak and you're vulnerable. So as much as we wish to promote economic development, as much as we wish to promote constant growth in our economy, we also want to ensure that the growth is a growth that's shared amongst all sectors of the society. We want to ensure that it's a society where the basic services like healthcare, like education, like infrastructure is available to all members of the society. And therefore, we have to ensure that our government's tax policies, for example, can assist with ensuring that the poor and the vulnerable are taken care of. But more crucially, that we move more and more persons out of vulnerability and out of poverty. So I when people use words like ideology and so on, I'm a little wary of that because I don't like getting bogged down in dogma. I prefer to speak plainly as to what it is you want to see in your society. And I said, what we want to see is a healthy Grenada, a Grenada that takes care of its environment, a Grenada that is prosperous, a Grenada that is fair, and a Grenada that is peaceful. And we feel the democratic system is the best system to achieve that.
Yeah. I'm getting so much calls. The line are jammed up, and we only have about 6 more minutes because I know you have other obligations right after this. So let's just
But
take this.
I'm happy to come back another time, Junior, obviously.
Yeah, okay. Let's just take this last call and then we wrap it up. Caller, where are you calling us from? Okay, it's the same caller. Let's take last call 718-701-5720. Dickon, in the meantime, I want you to talk to us, talk to the people, talk to the viewers. There are so many people watching right now, especially in the diaspora, on why, what would be different, majorly different in this NDC administration than the previous NDC administration, and why they should come out and vote and support the party.
Right. So I think what would be this, obviously, there's one obvious issue that we have to identify. This is a united National Democratic Congress. I was overwhelmingly elected as the political leader of the party. Uh, Mr. Andrew was appointed chairman of the party unopposed. Uh, the PRO was overwhelmingly appointed the PRO. The deputy political leader was overwhelmingly appointed the deputy political leader. So we went through the democratic process. We went through, essentially, using perhaps diaspora language, we went through a primary so that the persons who are leading this organization would have had the benefit of interacting with the party members, interacting with the delegates, and convincing them that they are the best team to lead the National Democratic Congress. And I think that the reflection of the team is testimony to that. So this is a united National Democratic Congress. One. Two, this is a National Democratic Congress that is absolutely clear about the need to transform Grenada, not just economically, but our politics, our civics. And make no mistake about that, we intend to do just that. I did not step out of the comfort zone of being a lawyer to enter public life if I intended to do the same role. If I intended to do the same role, I should simply go back to being a lawyer. We have to, in a deliberate and sustained and systematic manner, accept that we are better than what we are currently getting, and that we can do better, and that history has proven that we are better and we can do better. The PRG government, notwithstanding its tragic end, did not even last an election cycle. And look at the legacy that we have today as a result of their planning, as a result of their robustness, as a result of their creativity. So there's no doubt that that is the role of the National Democratic Congress. The role of the National Democratic Congress is to inspire, motivate, and create the infrastructure that would unleash the creativity of the Grenadian public. And I think once we do that, you would demonstrate that the NDC is not the NDC of infighting, is not the NDC of disunity, but it is an NDC filled with purpose, filled with drive, filled with vision, and here to stay. And I want to make this point because I made this yesterday. If you look at our history, political parties that are dominated by personalities die when that personality dies. We need only take the example of the GLP. Thankfully, the National Democratic Congress has never been dominated by a personality. We need to build institutions in Grenada that will survive. We need to build institutions that will transform. We need to build institutions that can remake themselves. That is how you sustain a civilization. If you build a civilization based on man, man dies. And when the man dies, then you really didn't have an institution because that institution is going to die. So I think the National Democratic Congress is truly reflective, as I said, of Grenada's resilience. And we have a wonderful opportunity, as I said, to transform Grenada. I think Grenadians will give us that opportunity. And we certainly do not intend to squander that opportunity.
Thank you so much, Dickon. I'll give you a chance to wrap up, but you could include that in your wrap up because I'm going to get killed by Akim, my good friend and supporter, Akim Lewis, if I didn't put that question in there. You want to know about plans that we in the diaspora would make it easier for us to do business in Grenada. You could just include that in your wrap up. And yeah, doing business easier in Grenada for folks in the diaspora. And you could do your wrap up as well.
Well, it's not just doing business for folks, making business easier for folks in the diaspora, it's making business easier for folks in Grenada, right? And we need to have, and you talk about entrepreneurship, we just have too much bottlenecks, too much bureaucracy, too much red tape to actually getting things done. And I think Grenadians know what I'm talking about. Whether it's at port, whether it's at customs, whether it's forming a company, we need to streamline and use the technology available so that in fact you can form a company in 24 hours. So that in fact you don't have to go from boat to stand within the port and customs department to clear your goods. It should be a one-stop shop. And all it takes is the will and the desire to do so, right? And I think once we demonstrate that, then simple things, you should not be frustrating an entrepreneur if he has to wait a week to form a company, right? And all you need to do, frankly, is digitize the process. And if
Yeah.
you digitize the process, you can form a company on your phone, right? So there are a lot of, sometimes people stick to what they know because they've just simply known it that way. So that's where the education comes in. That's where the will comes in to say, I can demonstrate to you that if we digitize the process, if we are forming 100 companies in Grenada now, we will form 1,000 companies, right? Because we will make it faster, we will make it easier, we will make it more efficient. And if you make it a little cheaper, then you will get more persons doing it. And not only that, that helps to sophisticate our entrepreneurs. No one is going to deal with you if you have a great product, if you're trading as a sole proprietor. They want to ensure that you have a company, right? Having a company also allows you to have partners, etc., etc. So it's absolutely crucial that we streamline some of our processes here. There are a number of reforms you also need to look at. How do we resolve disputes? uh, you know, on a much faster basis. I mean, we have a lot of challenges in our court system. We're part of a regional system, but those are things we need to look at. I mean, let's take a specific industry. You could take the insurance industry, motor vehicle accidents. Do we need to have a special dispute mechanism to address how you settle disputes between insurance companies and persons who are driving on third parties? Right? Those are things we need to ask ourselves and address, because you may say, why? If you're a great agent visiting and you met in a motor vehicle accident, you probably want to be in a position where the matter is resolved before you leave Grenada, rather than having to leave and come back and so on. So that's the kind of things that we need to talk about so that we can find collective solutions to address them. But in wrapping up, Junior, I just want to say this. I'm very encouraged by the response of persons. I thank everyone for their support, their well wishes, their prayers. The new executive of the National Democratic Congress intends, as I've said, to fully reach out, consult, and to engage in on an ongoing basis with all citizens of Grenada. And we will continue that process because it is important for us to know what citizens want, to hear from them, and to formulate policies that best reflects their positions and their solutions to taking Grenada forward. Because make no mistake about it, merely becoming a newly elected member of a political party doesn't make you Einstein, right? You don't know everything. And it is absolutely important for you to listen to the persons who you are representing, to listen to subject matter experts, to take advice, to take counsel. And once we do that, we will be better off for it and be able to act in the best interests of all of our citizens.
Thank you so much, Dickon. Thanks for coming and chatting with us. We're going to keep
Thank
the
you.
going.
I look forward. Now, the next time I come on, we can talk about carnival and mass
Yeah,
and
but
food
no,
and
Dickon,
music.
you see that picture that I posted earlier? You see that picture that I posted earlier?
Yes.
I was also told that you are into soca and you would have sing for us and they'll publish this and they will get you in this kind of high mood and relax you a bit. So that's why I
So I'm
posted the
telling
picture.
you, my nickname is Can't C-A-N-T Sing.
I was told,
So if we're in a drought and we need some rain, then I'll sing.
I said, they said, post the picture in the front and you go shake him up and relax him a bit. So that's why I posted the picture. We'll keep in touch.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
God
All
bless
right?
us. Have a good
All right,
evening.
cool. All right, good.
Okay. Bye.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so guys, that was the newly elected leader of the National Democratic Congress, Dickon Mitchell.
This time, son.
Yeah.
I'm a survivor.
Let me know what you guys think, right? I know that, guys, I'm so sorry. The lines was buzzing crazy, crazy. Of course, we couldn't take all the calls. But Dickon promised he's going to come back. He had an engagement exactly at 7 p.m. He gave us 7:04. He'll come back again and just take phone calls, right? Because we really couldn't do that during this particular his conversation here, which there are a lot more things that needs to be discussed. So let's open the phone lines and take your calls right now. What do you think about Dickon Mitchell now? Did anything he say change your perception of him? Just let us know generally. What do you think of Dickon Mitchell right now? Let's open up the phone lines and take your call. 718-701-5720. 718-701-5720. Let's open up. I see a call coming in from Trinidad. Trinidad, go right ahead. Hello? Hello?
Sorry. Good evening. Sorry, I was trying to mute.
Yes.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
I gotta say, I'm really excited about him. I'm energized.
Oh yeah.
I love hearing a young man talk about the issues and the things that we need to address and the plans that he has and the ideas, and it's really exciting. And I have to say, my goodness, this guy is yummy. Ah,
Oh,
thanks a lot.
okay.
Have a good one.
All right, thank you. All right, 718-701-5720. What do you think about Deacon Mitchell? What do you think about the NDC right now? What do you think of the positions? Some of the things that we spoke about as it relates to the CBI program, as it relates to the mandatory vaccination, as it relates to going forward, especially in entrepreneurship. That is one of the main things that a lot of people have been crying about, and providing essential funding, right, for entrepreneurs. Another problem that is affecting people from even starting a business, because they can't even see how they could get funds to support the business. So what do you think about it now? What do you think about it now? What do you think more that you need to focus on, right? So let's get your point of view. 718-701-5720. I see Suzette saying ready to go, NDC. Yeah? Yeah, guys, so the phone lines are still open. Let me see. We got the phone lines right here. All right, caller, your library calling us from. Hello? Hold on, caller. 1 second. Your audio is mute. 1 second. Yeah, caller, go right ahead. Where are you calling us from?
Are you hearing me now?
I'm hearing
New
you.
York.
Yes, go right ahead, caller.
Right, Grenadian living in New York. I'm very excited for this young man. It seems like a breath of fresh air for Grenada, because we Grenadians. I'm not a Grenadian also. Everyone deserves it. It seems, and he seems like everything is put into place, and he's know what he's talking about. Somebody who is for the people, and I think he would be elected by the people to take out Grenada from where it is now and move Grenada forward. And I think he too, as a young man, he could endorse the pain that the young people are going through. Mm-hmm. Instead of have a reflection on him. So I think it's phenomenal. He's a brilliant guy, and I think he would do great for Grenada. Thank you, Junior.
Thank you so much, caller. 718-701-5720. Taking your question, taking your call right here. Let us know what you think about Deacon Mitchell and the NDC right now. Let's jump to this call. Caller, you live. Where are you calling us from?
Hi, good evening.
Hi.
I'm calling from Queens, New York.
Go ahead, Queens, New York.
Okay, so I wasn't fortunate enough to catch the entire interview.
Yes.
With Dickon, Mr. Mitchell, but I caught the last part, and some of the things that he had to say was really refreshing. For so long, a lot of people have been so silent about the situation in Grenada when it comes to politics, and I think now that someone, or now that there is a breath of fresh air, I think that you're seeing some of those. I'm seeing some of those people that were out and talk about it now. They're more good, and people say that we as Grenadians, we scared of change, and I don't really think so, because I'm seeing a lot of people typing on social media, saying on social media that they really are supporting this new movement, and I'm excited. I'm really excited to see what the future has in store for the new leadership of the NDC party. And my dad was a very, very, very big NDC supporter, and if he was alive today, I know for a fact he would definitely be proud, and he would be happy. So stand up and thumbs up to these guys, and they have my support 110%.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, caller, for your input on that. 718-701-5720. And also, guys, let me know what are some of the things that you wanted to hear more of, right? Let me know some of the things that you didn't hear enough of, that you find that should be addressed, all right? We'll still open up the phone lines for you, 718-701-5720. Caller, your live. Where are you calling us from?
Calling you from New York. Good night to you, Junior, and your listeners. I would like to say this. For years, we've been asking time and time again to have young people come on board, have young people advance themselves into the political arena, and this right now, to me, is an opportunity for us to look at this very individual the way he speaks, the way he articulates every idea and explains every issue. A lot of people have reservations based on his age and whatnot. The guy is what, 44? Although he looks younger.
Yeah.
But I know him because I as well is a former past student of Presentation Brothers College. I think he left like the year after I came in. So there's little knowledge of him from that time, and what he is bringing to the fore right now, it encourages me as someone who is living out of Grenada. Junior, if I had to take a week off just to vote, this is the reason right now. And if young people are not sitting down and pulling up their chairs and listening and really taking the opportunity to change the fortunes of their countrymen, I really don't know what else we want.
Right.
I don't know how else to put it. I really don't know what else we want if we cannot look at this young man and see that this is the type of change we need to go forward.
Yeah, yeah.
Good night, all.
Thank you so much, caller. Thank you so much. Again, we're taking your call right now. What do you think about Dickon Mitchell and the NDC? And I want us to also look at, there have been a lot of talk about people saying about his inexperience, his age and his political inexperience. Do you see that? Do you see that? And does he come across to you as someone who is not experienced in worldview, right? Just talk to us about Dickon Mitchell and what you think about the interview generally and what you think about the person, what you think about the man. Now, also, for anyone in any other political organization, did he sway you to vote for the NDC? Did he say anything in particular that made you gravitate more to the NDC or to consider the NDC or consider voting for the NDC? Let's have this conversation here. 718-701-5720. Let's continue this conversation on the interview and Dickon Mitchell. Yeah. Now, when the program started, let me explain. When the program started, I showed a picture of Dickon Mitchell, and let me show it again. It was kind of funny because while I went through his Facebook page, I was searching for anything I could find, and I'm combing through, and I'm checking all his posts, and I'm checking all his social engagement, and we couldn't find nothing. We couldn't find anything at all. The only thing that we found was this. The only thing that we found was Dickon Mitchell playing mass. Doesn't have a lot of engagement didn't have any kind of controversy or engagement on social media. We had some of our investigators go and check him out, check out his village, ask people about him, because I think it's our job also to check these things out, and we couldn't really find anything that would be of interest or that would people would look at him and disqualify him in any way. So from our end, he checked out. From our end, after we did our thorough set of investigation, and I'll tell you we went in, right? I told you I spoke to his mom. She was kind of surprised though, by the way, but I spoke to his mom, and we wanted to find things, but we didn't find anything. So again, that checked out pretty well on our end. Let's jump back to the phone lines. Caller, live, where are you calling us from?
I'm calling from Grenada.
Go right ahead, Grenada.
Okay, I want to say congratulations to the new party leader and the entire team. However, what I am looking forward to see that as I am a young person, I'm also looking forward to see that if they would look into revising or reviewing the minimum wages that they currently have in Grenada, and also reviewing the labor laws, because there is a lot of things in it that we, the young people or people of a certain age, don't really understand, like what the labor law is about, and hoping to see that they shed some little light on it for the young people and, well, everybody in general, because prices is going up everywhere, but the salary remains the same, and to see that you're working for $700 to $800 a month, and you have two, three, four children, and you have to go quite to St. George's or quite Carriacou, to work. So I'm hoping that they can look at that and they have that in one of their plans, hoping that they can revise it and see what best can be done. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, caller. 718-701-5720. Gemma says, Junior, what do you mean fine things? The statement sounds threatening. The statement is not threatening. What I'm saying is, from an investigative point of view, we investigate. We check stuff out, right? So we investigate and have been looking and searching at Dickon Mitchell. He is a person who is potentially could be the next Prime Minister of Grenada. So we went searching. We did, right? And we didn't find anything disqualifying. That's the statement. That's what I said. All right, caller live. Where are you calling us from?
Hello, Junior.
Hey, how you doing?
All right, calling from Carriacou.
Carriacou.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, man.
Carriacou is amazing, by the way. Go ahead.
Oh, all the time. No, the whole idea, I just want to give you an idea of the mood in Carriacou. As a matter of fact, since Dickon Mitchell has announced that he was going to be running as the leader of the NDC, and believe me, as many callers would have said to you, he's a breath of fresh air. He has the ideas. He's given and speaking to the people they want to be spoken to, and the things that he's saying is what people are looking for. They're looking for change. They've been under the NNP government for so many years. It's just a same old story, different days. It's about time for change, and this is the kind of mood that you're getting right now.
Yes.
And you talk about some of the things that he's speaking about. Well, I'm telling you, he's talking the language of Grenadians, and that's why so many people are gravitating to him right now.
Yes. Kim the King. Thank you so much,
That's
Kim.
it.
And it was a pleasure having you on the program yesterday. And we have an open door policy here for you. Whenever you need to come on, whenever there's something that's going on, we want to stay focused on it, especially in Carriacou, my second home, as you know.
Well, I know that because Carriacou is always amazing.
Carriacou
Okay.
is amazing.
Okay. Take care, Junior. Man. Nice show today. Nice show today. I really enjoyed listening to Dickon Mitchell and what he has to offer, and just the way he's handling media. He looks like so experienced in that already. I mean, he doesn't need to do much more.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Kim.
Okay.
Pick up yourself.
Take care, man.
718-701-5720. We're talking Dickon Mitchell. We're talking about the interview. We're talking about what you just heard. And I want to hear from someone who or is not pleased by what they heard. So anyone that could call in and speak about things that they were looking to hear but they didn't hear, or they expected to hear, they didn't hear too much of. Give us a call. I want some contradiction. I want some contradiction. I want some people who didn't like or didn't think that we went far enough to find out information about him, didn't ask the right appropriate question. Give us a call. Let's get some contradiction. Let's get some views. Let's get some different perspectives on the conversation. All right, 718-701-5720. That's my number. That's 718-701-5720. You could also call on the WhatsApp, hey guys. So if you don't have long distance and you want to call from Grenada, you could also call on the WhatsApp. 718-701-5720.
This time, son.
This
Gotta be
was
strong in this time, son. I'm a survivor. I will survive.
Azania, that's what we do, right? That's what we do. In any instant, in any case, most time you see, we would conduct an investigation or internal investigation on individuals to see. We have well-placed sources around Grenada, and we get results. So I think that if there is someone that's coming in the position as Dickon Mitchell, I mean, I'm sure that it's not only us. I'm sure that everyone else is doing their investigation to find out. But based on what we did and based on how we went about, at this point we haven't found anything. All right. So again, and we investigate things from Keith Mitchell. I mean, listen, this is not a NNP NDC conversation, or we investigate one and we don't investigate the other. If there is things that needs to be investigated, we investigate it. We send our folks out to check it out. All right? And we publish the report. Whatever it is. Whatever it is. Frances Purcell, thank you so much. Frances Purcell, I was raised in St. Vincent, geographically. One of our closest neighbors was Miss Rosa Dixon. Yeah, his grandmother. Yeah, his grandmother who's 90 years old right now. Who's 90 years old right now. I wanted to call her too, but I don't think that she would have spoken to me. But all right, 717-015-720. We're gonna stay on there for another 10 minutes, guys, to get your views on Dickon Mitchell, the conversation. Let us know what your thoughts are. Let us know what you have to say, how you feel about it. Don't leave here and go and write up a bunch of status against or against what you heard without coming and telling me. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the interview. Let's talk about the conversation. Let's talk about Dickon Mitchell. Let's talk about the NDC. Let's have a conversation. 718-701-5720. I'm giving everyone the opportunity to call and conversate. All right?
Nobody can change my energy. Nobody can.
I'm giving everyone the opportunity to call and conversate. The phone lines are open, so anyone could call and conversate. All right? The phone lines again. Number is. Let me put the number back on the screen, guys. Let me put the number back up on the screen. Right there, 718-701-5720. That's 718-701-5720. Call us and let us know what your thoughts are. If you're not a supporter, just talk to me. All right?
Yo, and when you roll, everything after humming. Everything after humming.
Okay. All right.
I just high.
Peter Mitchell.
And I'm a kind of fella.
All right, Peter Mitchell, say your comment to you guys. Your comment to everything you guys saying about it just now.
I will not allow negativity. Nobody can hold me, man. Nobody can change my.
Cindy B said, Junior, like someone said, investigate this phone bill if the phone bill was paid. Alright guys, we're gonna be here for another 5 minutes. Again, I'm opening up the phone lines for you guys to call in and talk to me. 718-701-5720. Number back on the screen. Guys, if you could pin the number as well for me. Someone said that NDC said that they declared their assets in one election, but they never did, to my knowledge. Will this group declare their assets? And that is a question that I am going to find out from. Thank you, anonymous person on WhatsApp. That's a good question that we're going to find out for you, all right? All right, that's it. Hold on, let me take that WhatsApp call. Call on the WhatsApp, go right ahead.
Yes, good night, sir. I was just trying to find out what plans do we have for agriculture, and I'm talking about exports and also manufacturing.
Right. Okay, so I know that Dickon spoke about agriculture extensively yesterday, so I could send you over to the I believe the page. You could check it out there. But I know he spoke about it yesterday. But that's a very good question. All right.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. Yeah. 718-701-5720. 2 more calls, and then we wrap up. I get out of here, guys. By the way, before we wrap up, I want you guys to go over to our YouTube channel and subscribe to us over on YouTube. All right, subscribe to us over on YouTube. The link, we're gonna paste the link right there, guys. Subscribe to us over on YouTube, because whenever Facebook decides to act up, we're on YouTube. All right, we have over 75,000 subscribers on YouTube, and you could go over there and check us out as well. Caller live, where are you calling us from?
Hi, I'm calling from Grenada.
Go right ahead.
What the question I want to find out is, what is Mr. Dickon Mitchell's position when it comes to or relates to representing the university against the unvaccinated workers and his stance on sending these workers home without their benefits after working 20-something years or 30-something years for the university and sending these individuals home to their families without no support and without their benefits. I really want to know what is his view and stance and his belief to want to do better for Grenadians and wanting to send these individuals home to, not to be able to provide for their families.
Right. He touched on it here, but extensively. Your question has other details in it that you probably should have get in on the conversation earlier, so you could ask him directly. But the next time that he's on the show, which might be sometime soon, you could definitely come in and ask your question. All right. But he did answer the question about mandated vaccine. He spoke about it here, and I know he spoke about it in fuller extent yesterday as well. All right. Thank you, caller.
Nobody can change my.
All right.
Nobody can.
All right. So we're about to wrap. Thank you, guys. Also, guys, listen. Tell me how you guys like our brand new Studio B. This is Studio B. This is Ridealong Studio B. Because oftentimes I'm in the car, but whenever I'm here, I come I do the news from here, and other people come and record their shows from here as well. So this is our Studio B. How do you like our Studio B? Should I move from the car and start doing the program permanently in Studio B? Yeah? That's no. Yeah, you think I should just move over permanently to Studio B? I gotta clear that with Lloyd JJ first, the producer. Yeah. All right. Anyway, guys, I gotta wrap up. I gotta thank our sponsors for making it all possible here today. I gotta big up All Pros Health Lab. If you're looking for a rapid PCR test for work or for travel, you could call them up right now at 516. Sorry, get a number there. 516-387-4246. That's All Pros Health Lab Rapid COVID-19 PCR test. You get your results in half an hour for travel or for work. Give them a call right now or check them out online at allprolab.com.
You gotta be firm in this time, son. You gotta be strong in this time, son. I'm a survivor. I will survive.
If you're in Grenada,
and I'm a firm believer, we'll forever shine just to stay alive. That simple means that nobody can hold me.
yeah, if you're in Grenada, you could check out the Care Transition Clinic. They're in Grenada, and they provide services like laboratory service, diabetes food care. They also provide COVID-19 testing, chronic disease management, home health, nursing, IV therapy, private nursing, escort, wound care, post-hospitalization care, nebulizer treatment after surgery care, and physician care. Call them at 473-535-0307. Again, that's Care Transition Clinic, 473-535-0307. Let's jump back to this last call. Caller, you live. You're the final caller for the night.
Hi, Junior. Good night.
Good night.
I want you to arrange when the time is right for a debate with the politicians. Because too often we hear one side, we don't hear the other side, and this tit for tat. No, we must have a political debate. And I want you to look seriously into that. Good night.
Yeah, thank you, caller. And I appreciate that. Caller, let me also say while you're on the line, right? Last election, we had debates. However, the New National Party never participated in any debates. All right? We pushed hard to have members from the New National Party, but it was a position that they took from leadership, and it prevented anyone from coming on and doing any sort of debate. GBN had a debate as well. And
can I just say something else?
Yeah.
Yes, I understand that, and I am aware of that. But what the media need to get Grenadians to understand, we have to be politically involved. We have to push our leaders and those who want to speak and do for us. We have to push them to hear what they have to say, one against the other. It's not you speak in your corner. And as Grenadians, it's time we stop this foolishness. Why do we not want to hear from both of them in a debate?
Well, we want to hear from them. We want to hear from them. We want to hear from all of them.
I am saying, as the media,
right,
you have to go out there and champion that with the people and get them to understand. They have to make the people who want to represent.
Yeah, but get this caller, and I appreciate that, because that's something that I advocated for. The NNP never participated in any debate, right? But nevertheless, they won. They won. So they had their position. They didn't lose because they didn't debate. Their position was strong on not debating whatsoever, and they still win. They still won the election, clean sweep.
Yep.
And we advocated for it.
One other thing, I don't know if Dickon is going to listen to this or if anybody else would. But he spoke about entrepreneurship, and this is something I'm very passionate about. And I want to see that some of that CBI funds be used to champion entrepreneurship. And I hope this is something the NDC would be looking at as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm very passionate about that as well. Let's hope that is one of the focal points in the agenda, because I think that, as Dickon said, and I'm hoping that they keep his word on it. That is it's positive to have more entrepreneurs. They provide employment.
Yes,
right.
Definitely.
And
too much young people leaving school and looking for a job. Where are we going with that in the 21st century? Where are we going with that in a small market like ours?
Yeah.
That's my point.
Yeah.
There was something else though. Just a comment on it to me. While people are saying, oh, the guy is young, he had no experience, which one of the politicians went into politics with experience? They all started at zero. And the other thing about, oh, he's too young. How old was Morris Bishop when he went into politics?
Right. Yeah.
And let me tell you, if Bishop was 99 years, I would have been still voting for him. Dickon reminds me of Morris Bishop. This young man, he may not know how to do it, but he has vision.
Right.
And the other thing that impressed me with him is that he is willing to learn from those who have been there, those who can make a contribution, so we can all do it together. Not no one man or three men prospering from this political thing. It's time for this shit to done.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, caller. We appreciate your input. All right. Yeah, guys, so we're going to wrap up here. But let me say this, right? And she made a very important point about the debates. Last election, we push. Let me tell all you how much we push. We had debates with, I believe that there was a Red Party. We had members from the NDC. We had every other party, right, besides the NNP. Hopefully this time around that all parties will participate in debates. Because we want to host debates. We want to be a part of the debates. We want people, you, the viewers, to hear what they have to say. It's important that you know what they have to say, not just campaign. And when you're in campaign, a lot of campaign took the shape. You go, you have a seminar, you in a big gathering, and you say whatever. But then when you go back and fact check, it is a totally different thing, right? So with the debate, it gives you an instant opportunity to fact check your leadership. If the NDC says something that is incorrect, or the campaign is going left, you could challenge it live on the debate stage, right? Not only just campaigning and having a whole bunch of artists and foreign artists coming in and just entice the people with that and then send them out and vote. Let them hear what you have to say, come in on a debate stage and speak, right? Take questions, let people call in, you know what I mean? Engage the people like that. And I think that, I hope that this time around, that more of the political figures would engage in debates. It could be a central broadcast where all mediums pick it up, where all platforms pick it up. You know, it would be good. Let's see if that happens this time around, guys. We are totally accepting and agreeing that we will support debates. And that's our commitment. All right? That's our commitment. Anyway, guys, I got to wrap. I got to leave. I'll catch you guys again tomorrow. Tomorrow we're playing Ride Trivia at 6 p.m. If you guys want to come in and play with us, it's an interactive trivia game, and it's really cool. So, if you never played Ride Trivia before, check us out tomorrow. All right? Peace out, guys. Good night. I gotta leave with my Going Away song. I gotta leave with my Going Away song, guys. Hold on. I gotta leave with my Going Away song. Stand by. I gotta get my Going Away song. Who know what my Going Away song is? There it is. Alright. Catch you guys again tomorrow on Ride Trivia at 6 p.m. Okay. Song.
I feel like beat my chest. I'm blessed. I feel like beat my chest. I'm blessed. I feel like beat my chest. I'm blessed. I'm blessed. I'm blessed. I'm blessed. I feel like beat my chest. I'm blessed. I feel like beat my chest.
Have a good night, everyone.
Beat my chest, yo. When I woke up this morning, I had reasons to sing. When I woke up this morning, I had reasons to shout. I know that Father God bless me, and that's without a doubt. So if you know that Father God bless you, start to jump up and shout, sing, whoa, see a banga, just see a banga. Give thanks to the Father, everybody, whoa, yeah, see a banga, just see a banga. He is my provider. My back, my back, my back. The most I have my back, my back, my back. The big man have my back, my back, my back. The most I have my back, 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 back. Man, I feel so blessed. Man, I feel like beating my chest. I feel like I feel so free. Man, nobody happy like me. I feel like He provides my wants, He provides my needs, each and every day. I get on my knees, He provides my wants, He provides my needs, each and every day. So when I woke up this morning, I had reasons to sing. When I woke up this morning, I had reasons to shout. I know that Father God bless me, and that's without a doubt. So if you know that Father God bless you, let your praises come out. Sing, whoa, see a banga, just see a banga. Give thanks to the Father, everybody, whoa, yeah, see a banga, just see a banga. He is my provider. My back, my back, my back. The most I have my back, my back, my back. The big man have my back, my back, my back. The most I have my back, 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 back. Good health and strength. I feel so strong and confident. I feel like I family and friends who support me till the end. I feel like what more do you want? What more do you need? If you're not satisfied, I know that it's greed. What more do you want? What more do you need? If you're not satisfied, go back on your knees. So when I woke up this morning, I had reasons to sing. When I woke up this morning, I had reasons to shout. I know that Father God bless me, and that's without a doubt. So if you're not
Williams Funeral Service serve you with dignity and compassion as you mourn. Every day, we embark on the journey of life, and one day, the journey will end. It's on that day that you can entrust the celebration of life of your loved ones to David Williams Funeral Service. Call 718-291-3823.
Feeling hungry, grab a snack. Caribbean food to life. Welcome to TD Bank, where you'll find the personalized attention you deserve and the legendary experience you expect. Let's do business. If you are a medical or dental practitioner, contact me to hear about our tailored lending solutions for residential mortgages, equipment purchases, practice-related commercial mortgages and refinance. Visit me at 500 Baychester Avenue to hear more about our full range of personal and small business banking solutions. See you soon.